Hi learners, welcome to Curious Commerce. Today we will discuss the topic on working capital management. Every businesses need money for daily operations, right? Profit alone cannot run a business. That's also right. Cash decides the survival of the business. Let me repeat. Profit looks good on the paper. It means that the book profit is too good, but that profit is run the business? No. Cash keeps the business alive. Many businesses collapse not because they are unprofitable, the book profit is too good, but because they run out of the cash, end of the day, the businesses collapse. Today, we will clearly understand. First one is profit is long term. Second one is cash is day to day. Third one is working capital is the lifeblood of business. By the end of the session, you will never look at profit the same way again. Let us understand one by one. The first one is profit. Profit is long term. Profit means income minus expenses, the total income of the business and the expenses of that operational activity or the marketing activity or the total activities. The difference we call as in the profit. For example, the total sales of the organization or the company is 10 lakh rupees. The expenses, including the direct expenses, factory overheads, sales and distribution overheads, office overheads, and every overheads, including all the heads, what we uh, consider in the cost sheet. The difference between the sales and expenses, the 10 lakh minus 8 lakh, the profit is 2 lakh. Sound great, right? But wait, this profit may include this profit may include credit sales not yet collected, future income recorded today, non-cash entries like depreciation. So the profit is, once again I will repeat, sales on credit basis, future income recorded today in the books of accounts. It may be the non-cash entry like the depreciation. So the profit is on accounting concept, shows performance over time, useful for the growth, valuation, and the investors. But profit does not mean cash in hand, right? On the basis of the previous examples. That's why many companies show profit but still struggle to pay bills. Profit is like your exam marks. They show performances. It shows the grades or it gives the rank or it gives the distinctions, first class, second class, or the percentage. But they do not give you food today, right? The same way the profit. It is for the long term, but for the day to day activities of the business, you need the cash. Now, let us talk about the cash. Cash means money in hand, what we generally used the cash in hand, cash at the bag, money available right now in the organization. The cash is needed for the commitments of the organization It may be the paying salaries, paying rent, paying electricity, paying suppliers, fuel, interest, EMI, emergency expenses. On the base of this example, it is very easy to know that the cash is not about the future, cash is about the today. If today salary is due, if you're not having the cash, or if you want to pay the money to the supplier, or you need to pay the EMI to the bank, even if your company shows 10 lakh profit, without the cash, operation stops, right? That's why we say cash flow is reality, profit is theory. The third, the fundamental concept we should understand, working capital is the lifeblood. Now comes the most important concept, working capital. Working capital we define with the equation working capital equals current assets minus current liability. In simple terms, money available to run daily operations, right? It includes cash, bank balances, stock, debtors, customer who must pay you. Working capital is used for buying raw materials, paying staff salary or laborers wages, managing daily expenses, running the business smoothly. Just like blood circulates in the body, working capital circulates in the business. If blood stops, body collapse. If working capital stops, business collapse. That's why we say working capital is the lifeblood of business. Let's discuss about certain practical real life example. Some ex-person run a mobile shop. He or she sells mobile worth around 1 lakh rupees this month. His cost is 80,000, so the profit is 20,000 rupees. It is very simple calculations, right? 1 lakh minus 80,000, that is 20,000 rupees. But all sales are on credit. Customers will pay after 2 months. Today, the tax person's commitment is rent due of 10,000 rupees, the salary due for 15,000 rupees, electricity is due or around 3,000 rupees. Total immediate cash needed is 28,000 rupees. But the cash in hand is just 2,000 rupees. Now tell me, is the tax person is profitable? According to the books of accounts, yes. But can he survive today? No, because he is not having the cash. This is the reality of thousands of businesses. This is why big companies like Kingfisher Airlines, Yes Bank in earlier phases, many startups collapsed not due to the losses but due to the cash flow failures. So remember this golden line, business does not survive on profit, it survives on cash. So it again slowly for the impact in your mind, profit is pride, cash is power, cash is survival. Friends, if you are a student or a business owner or an entrepreneur, you must always ask, where is the cash? How strong is the working capital? Can this business survive 3 months without the income? Profit builds the future, cash protects the present, working capital keeps the engine running. If you understand this one concept clearly, you understand the real secret of business survival. Dear learners, The working capital refers to the funds required for day to day business activities, not for building, not for buying land, not for purchasing machines, not for the investments, but for running the business every single day. Without working capital, even a profitable business cannot function. Let us understand slowly. Working capital means money needed to keep the businesses moving daily. Just like food gives us daily energy, right? Same way petrol runs a vehicle. Blood keeps the body alive. Working capital keeps the business alive every day, like the food, petrol, the blood in our body. First, the use of the working capital is purchase of the raw material. A factory cannot produce anything without the raw materials. For example, a bakery needs flour, sugar, milk, etc. every day. A tailoring shop needs the cloth, threads, bobbins. A furniture maker needs the wood. A mobile shop needs the phone for resale or accessories related to that. All these require daily purchase of stock. Money used for buying this stock we call as in the working capital. If raw material stops, production stops. If production stops, sales stop. If the sales stop, leads to the business stops. It means that if the raw material shortage leads to the production gradually decreases. If the production decreases, automatically total output will decrease. The total output decrease, total sales is decrease. Total sales decrease, automatically the profit also decrease. At the end of the day, the business stops. So the raw material purchase is a critical use of the working capital. The second one is payment of wages and salaries for the laborers and the employees respectively. Employees expect salary. The major expectation is employees need salary every month on time without delay. A business may say we made profit this year, but the employees say we need salary this month. It means that we already discussed that the profit for the longer term, but cash we need for the shorter day to day activities. If you mention that we have crores together of the profit in our organization, but the employee's expectation is very simple. They need the salary every month on time without delay. Salary must be paid in cash or bank transfer, right? The salary money comes from the working capital. No working capital leads to no salary for the employees. No salaries to the employees, automatically the employees leave your organization. And the employees turnover starts, automatically the total production decrease. So end of the day, step by step, the businesses collapse. The third use of the working capital is the electricity bill or payment of electricity and utility bills. Imagine factory without electricity, office without the internet, shop without the lights, hotels without the water. Electricity bill comes every month, right? It must be paid on time. The money used for paying electricity, water, internet, phone bills all come from the working capital. These are all small expenses, but Without them, business cannot function even for one day. The fourth one is the expenses. Transport and delivery expenses. Goods must move from one place to another place or the production area to the market. Or we classify like goods must move from supplier to factory, factory to warehouse, warehouse to customer, customers to consumer. The transportation requires the fuel, driver, driver salary, vehicle maintenance, delivery charges, etc. All these need regular cash flows. No transportation, no supply. No supply leads to no sales in the market. No sales in the market, no income for the organization. No income, the business will collapse. Again, working capital plays a key role, right? Simple example for understand the working capital concept. A kirana shop owner, every morning he goes to the wholesale market. He buy milk, vegetable, biscuits, rice, oil. He pay cash every morning. That daily money used to buy stock, we call as in the working capital. If today he does not have 5,000 rupees cash, he cannot buy stock. Shop shelf remains empty. Customers go to another shop, sales reduce, business slowly dies. So you see, working capital is not luxury, it is for survival. Working capital is not for luxury, it is for survival. Friends, always remember working capital is the money that keep business alive every day. Building show size, machine shows strength, profit shows successes, but working capital shows survival. A successful business is not one with the book profit or the one with the big profit or the book profit. It is one with strong working capital management. The definition of working capital. Working capital is the excess of current asset over current liabilities. Now let us understand this definition slowly. What are current assets? Current assets are those assets that bring cash into the business within short period. Once again I will repeat, bring cash into the business within short period. For example, cash, bank balance, debtor, what we call as a customer who will pay, stock, bills receivable. So remember, current assets bring cash. And the same way, what are current liabilities? Current liabilities are those obligations that demand cash payment in near future. Demand cash payment in near future. For example, creditors, outstanding expenses, bills payable, short-term loans, bank overdraft. So remember, current liabilities demand cash. Meaning of excess. Excess of current asset over current liability. Why excess? Because that excess amount represent safety, liquidity, and financial comfort. If your current assets are equal to current liabilities, business is just managing. If current assets are less than current liabilities, business is in danger. If the current assets are more than current liabilities, business is in the safe position. So remember, excess means safety. Now, let us understand with the simple numerical example. The current assets of an organization is 4 lakh. Current liabilities of the organization is 3 lakh. We already know that the simple formula for calculate the working capital is working capital equals current asset minus current liability. So, working capital equals current asset minus current liability means 4 lakh minus 3 lakh, the working capital is 1 lakh. What does this 1 lakh mean? It means after paying all short term dues, the business still has 1 lakh as cushion. This is safety money, operating comfort. This is day to day support fund. Positive working capital indicates good short term financial position. So, dear learners, remember three golden points. Current assets bring cash, current liabilities demand cash, excess of asset over liabilities means safety. That is why we say working capital shows the short term financial health of the business. If you understand this definition properly, you have already mastered the foundation of working capital. Dear learners, we already understood what working capital is. Now the question is, why is working capital so important for a business? Why do successful companies always focus on cash flow? Now one more question, why do finance manager constantly monitor working capital? The simple answer is without working capital, even a good business will fail. Let us understand this through four powerful reasons. First one is uninterrupted production. Production means we know that raw material must come, workers must work, machines must run, goods must be produced daily. But what happens if working capital is not available? No money leads to no raw material. No raw material leads to no production. No production leads to no sales. No sales leads to no income, no profit. This is a chain reaction. A simple example, the biscuit factory needs the raw material like the flour, sugar, milk powder, packaging materials, etc. every week. The factory must purchase these items. If today the factory does not have working capital, supplier will refuse delivery, right? Machines will remain idle, idle for the duration. Workers will sit without work. Orders will be delayed. So we clearly understand working capital ensures continuous smooth production. That's why companies always keep sufficient fund ready for the operations. The second one is meeting the short term obligation. The short term obligation means salaries for the employees, wages for the laborers, rent, electricity bill, internet bill, EMI payment, supplier payments. These payments are time bound, they cannot be postponed. Just imagine that salary delayed creates labor problem. Imagine factory delays salary by 10 days. what happens? Just imagine that. Workers become unhappy, motivation decreases in employees, productivity falls, some employees leave the job, maybe the labor unions may protest. All this happens not because the business is bad, but because cash was not managed properly. For understand purpose, the one more example. A shopkeeper delay payment to wholesaler. The next time, wholesaler refuses to give goods on credit, right? Or charges higher prices, or demand advance payment. So working capital helps businesses pay on time, avoid stress, maintain smooth operations. The third one is the goodwill. Goodwill means the reputation, the trust, and the market image. And working capital plays a huge role in building the goodwill of the organization. For example, a business that pays suppliers on time, pays salaries on time, pays bank dues regularly, clear electricity bill before due date. Such a business gets better credit facility, right? Respect in the market, priority from the suppliers, trust from the employees, confidence from the banks. Let us understand practically. Two shop owners, Ramesh and Suresh. Ramesh always pays suppliers on time, but Suresh delays payment every month. When new stock arrives in the market, supplier first inform Ramesh. Supplier gives better to Ramesh compared to the Suresh. Supplier gives the more credit to Ramesh compared to Suresh. Why? Because Ramesh has goodwill built through the good working capital management. So remember, good working capital leads to strong goodwill. The fourth one is growth and expansion. Every business want to grow, more customers, more branches, more products, and bigger and bigger markets. But growth requires money. For example, a small bakery is doing well, customers are increasing, orders are growing. Owners want to buy another oven, hire more workers, open one more outlet. But if he does not have working capital, he cannot buy extra raw material, he cannot pay to the new staff, he cannot handle larger orders. So growth opportunity is lost. That's why we say no working capital, no expansion. Many businesses fail not because demand is low, but because they cannot finance growth. This is very important real world lesson for the entrepreneurs. Let us summarize everything in simple language. Working capital helps businesses to run production without stoppage, pay salaries and bills on time, build trust and reputation, expand and grow smoothly. A business with no working capital leads to stress, delay, loss, and failure. Cross working capital leads to stability, respect, and success. Learners always remember profit shows success on paper, but working capital shows strength in reality. Big building, big sales, big brand. all are useless if working capital is weak. That is why every smart business owner, every financial manager, every entrepreneur gives top priority to working capital management. Types of working capital, the overview. There are two types of working capital. First one is gross working capital, and the second one is net working capital. Let us discuss one by one why the classification is needed and what are the natures of the gross working capital and the net working capital. Gross working capital. Learners, till now we studied about the meaning of working capital, importance of working capital. Now let us understand another the concept, the gross working capital. The gross working capital is simpler than it sounds. The definition is gross working capital means total investment in current assets. It does not consider liabilities. It only focuses on how much money is invested in short term assets. Let us break the definition. Total investment means entire amount of money put into. Current assets means assets that will convert into cash within short period. So, gross working capital means all money blocked in the short term assets. That's why this example line is perfect. All money blocked in short term assets. What does it include? Let us understand each component clearly. Cash, cash in hand, and cash at bank. This is the most liquid asset. It is ready for immediate use, but even this cash is considered part of working capital because it is kept for daily expenses, emergencies, and small operational needs. Second one is the inventory or stock. Inventory includes the raw material, work in progress, and finished goods. For example, a garment shop keeps clothes, a supermarket keeps groceries, a factory keeps raw materials for the production activity. All this stock represents money that is not yet cash, but will become cash after sale. So, inventory is also part of gross working capital. Third one is the debtors, account receivable. Debtors are customers who bought goods on credit and will pay later. Example, a wholesaler sells goods worth 50,000 on credit. This 50,000 rupees is not in cash today, but it will come after 30 days, right? So debtors are money tied up with customers. It is the part of the current assets. It is the part of gross working capital. Fourth one is short-term investments. Sometimes businesses invest excess cash in fixed deposits for the short term, mutual funds for the liquid funds, and treasury bills. These investments can be converted into cash quickly. They are temporary parking of funds. So, they are all also treated as current assets and included in gross working capital. Simple practical example for understanding purpose. A small business has cash of 50,000 rupees, inventory of 1 lakh 20, debtors of 80,000 rupees, short term investment of 50,000 rupees. Total current assets 50,000, plus 1,20,000 plus 80,000 plus 50,000. That is the total current asset is 3 lakh rupees. This 3 lakh rupees is called the gross working capital. What does this mean? It means the business has invested 3 lakh rupees in short term assets. Some money is in cash, some money laying in the stock, some money is stuck with customers, some money parked in investment. But all this money belongs to the business and will return as cash in near future. So we say that gross working capital is all money blocked in current assets. Learners, always remember gross working capital shows how much money is invested in short term assets, how big is the operational fund of the business, how strong is the liquidity position. So, the final line to remember is gross working capital equals to total current assets, all money blocked in short term assets. We just learned about gross working capital. Now we will learn the more practical and more important concept, net working capital. Net working capital is more important than the gross working capital because it does not just show how much money is invested, it shows how much money is actually available for use. The formula is very simple for calculate the net working capital. Net working capital equals the current assets minus current liability. The difference between the current assets and current liability we call as in the net working capital. This formula is extremely important for analyze about the working capital position in any organization. Let us understand the meaning deeply. Net working capital answers one practical question. After paying all short-term dues, how much money is left with the business? That remaining amount is the real strength of the business. That is why we say it shows real liquidity strength of the organization. If net working capital is positive, business can pay its bill easily. If net working capital is zero, business is just managing no safety at all. If net working capital is negative, business is in danger, means the cash pressure. So, net working capital is like the financial cushion of the business. Let us take an example. A business has current assets of 5 lakh rupees and current liability of 3 lakh 50,000 rupees. Net working capital is the difference between the current assets and current liability, that is 5 lakh rupees minus 3 lakh 50,000 rupees. The net working capital is 1 lakh 50,000 rupees. What does this 1 lakh 50,000 rupees mean? It means even if the business pays all its short term dues today, it will still have 1 lakh 50,000 rupees left. That is safety fund, that is the emergency fund, and that is the operating comfort. Banks like such businesses, suppliers trust such businesses, employees feel secure in such businesses. Let us compare two companies, a company A and company B. The current assets of company A is 4 lakh, current liability of company A is 3 lakh 90,000 rupees, net working capital is 10,000 rupees. The The same way, the company base current asset is 4 lakh and current liability is 2 lakh rupees, and net working capital is the difference between the current asset and current liability, that is 2 lakh rupees. Both companies have the same assets, but which company is stronger? Obviously, company B, because higher net working capital means better liquidity, more stability, and less financial stress. This shows why net working capital is more meaningful than the gross working capital. Why it is called real liquidity strength? Liquidity means the ability to pay bills on time. Real liquidity means not just having the assets, but having excess assets after liabilities. A company may have large inventory, big debtors, but also huge unpaid bills. On paper, assets look big, but in reality, pressure is high. Networking capital removes this confusion and shows the true financial position. That is why finance managers, banks, and investors always focus on networking capital. Learners always remember gross working capital shows investment, but networking capital shows the real strength. If you understand this concept clearly, I have understood one of the most important pillar of finance. Dear learners, significance of networking capital is very important area for analyze the working capital position in each and every industry. Networking capital is the excess of current asset or current liabilities. We already know that. Networking capital equals current asset minus current liability. For example, the current assets of X company is rupees 2 lakh. Current liability is rupees 1 lakh 50,000 rupees. Net working capital is positive 50,000 rupees. So now we should analyze on the base of this example. Liquidity means the ability to pay short-term bills on time. If your business has sufficient net working capital, it means it can pay salaries, it can pay electricity bills, it can pay rent, it can pay suppliers, it can clear short-term loans. If you have cash in pocket, you can manage daily expenses easily, right? Same way for the business. Suppose cash of rupees 20,000 rupees, debtors of 30,000 rupees, stock of rupees 50,000 rupees. The total current asset of the company is rupees 1 lakh. Creditors 40,000 rupees. Outstanding expenses 20,000 rupees. Total 60,000 rupees. Right? The net working capital equals current assets minus current liability. That is 1 lakh minus 60,000. The net working capital is 40,000. The positive, the positive 40,000 rupees. It means business is safe, liquid, and can pay bills. Higher the working capital, stronger the liquidity position. Higher the working capital, stronger the liquidity position. Networking capital acts like a health report of the business. It is an indicator. If networking capital is positive, it means business is running smoothly. Company can survive difficult times. Company has control over expenses. Cash flow is balanced and business is stable. It means a company with positive working capital can survive even if sales reduce for few months. If net working capital is negative, it means that the current liability is greater than current assets. This is a danger signal. Cannot pay suppliers on time, salary delay for the employees, loan or the EMI repayment problems, loss of goodwill, business stress increases. For example, a shop has 20,000 rupees as stock, cash of 5,000 rupees, total current assets is 25,000 rupees. But the liability, the supplier's payment is rupees 40,000. In this case, the net working capital is negative of 15,000 rupees. It indicates business is unhealthy. Positive working capital is sign of strength. Negative working capital is warning of danger. Banks always analyze net working capital before approving cash credit, overdraft, short-term business loans, or working capital loans. Why bank cares? Because banks want assurance that business can repay loan. Business is not already struggling. Business has enough liquidity. Bank checks net working capital before approving the overdraft. Suppose a business applies for overdraft of rupees 2 lakh rupees. Bank officer checks balance sheet. What is the position of current asset, current liability, and net working capital? The current asset of the organization is 5 lakh. Current liability is 3 lakh 50,000 rupees. Net working capital is positive 1 lakh 50,000 rupees. Bank thinks business has buffer, can manage the repayment in the future days. Loan can be approved. But if the current asset is 3 lakh, current liability is 4 lakh 50,000 rupees, net working capital is negative 1 lakh 50,000 rupees. Bank thinks high risk, poor financial health, and loan likely to be rejected. For banks, net working capital is safety cushion. Net working capital is not just an accounting figure. It shows liquidity, reflects financial strength, and builds trust with the banks and lenders. A business with strong working capital survives longer, grows faster, and gain creditability in the market. Now we will discuss about the positive versus negative working capitals. Positive working capital means current assets is greater than current liability. It shows the business has enough short term resources to meet its obligations. Positive working capital indicates business is financially strong, expenses are under control, income is properly managed, company has reserve funds. This is the indicators of the positive working capital. For example, a grocery shop with cash of 30,000 rupees, stock of 70,000 rupees, debtors of 20,000 rupees, total current assets rupees 1,20,000. The liabilities of the grocery shop, credit are 60,000 rupees, outstanding expenses 20,000 rupees, total current liability 80,000 rupees. Current assets minus current liability, that is the working capital formula, right? So the 1,20,000 rupees minus 80,000 rupees, the net working capital is positive 40,000 rupees. Meaning of the positive 40,000 rupees is business is healthy. On the basis of this example, positive working capital is like strong immunity for business. Because of the positive working capital, business can pay suppliers on time, buy raw materials without delay, pay salaries regularly, pay rent, electricity, taxes, avoid unnecessary loans. For example, a textile shop receives bulk order. Because it has sufficient working capital, it purchases raw material immediately and delivers order on time. Operations run smoothly, right? Sufficient working capital keeps the business engine running smoothly. Once again, I will repeat, sufficient working capital keeps the business engine running smoothly. But in the case of the negative working capital, the negative working capital means current liability is greater than current assets. It indicates the danger situation of the organization. The negative working capital indicates liquidity crisis. The liquidity crisis means no cash to pay immediate bills, delayed in salary payment, suppliers start refusing the credit facility, unable to pay the EMIs, stress in daily operations. For example, a mobile shop has stock of rupees 40,000, cash of rupees 5,000, debtors of rupees 10,000, total current assets will be rupees 55,000 rupees. The total liability of that mobile shop is rupees 90,000 rupees. The working capital is negative 35,000 rupees. The business is struggling, right? Negative working capital is not just shortage of money, it is shortage of control. The negative working capital indicates the risk of business or the risk of business failure. If negative working capital continues, business reputation damaged, credit rating goes down, bank loans may be rejected, suppliers demand advance payment, business may shut down. On the basis of This indicator many businesses do not fail because of losses, they fail because of poor working capital. Too many credit purchases plus slow collections leads to negative working capital. When businesses buys goods on credit frequently, creditors increase. But customers pay slowly, debtors collected slowly, right? Then current liabilities increases, current assets do not convert into cash quickly. The end result will be working capital become negative. For example, a wholesaler purchases goods rupees 1 lakh on credit, sales on credit 1 lakh 20,000 rupees. Customers delay payment for 3 months, so creditor want money now, but debtors are not paying it. It leads to cash shortage, negative working capital, and liquidity crisis. On the basis of the above numerical examples, when money goes out faster than it comes in, working capital turns negative. Once again, I will repeat, when money goes out faster than it comes in, working capital turns negative. Positive working capital shows strength, stability, and smooth functioning. Negative working capital shows liquidity stress and risk of failure. Successful businesses always monitor their working capital carefully because survival depends more on cash flow than on profit. Once again, I will repeat, successful businesses always monitor their working capital carefully because survival depends more on cash flow than on profit. Current assets are those assets which are expected to be converted into cash within one accounting year or operating cycle. Simple idea for the remember, current assets are nothing but future cash. Current assets equals to future cash. Cash and bank balance. This is the first item we consider as a current assets. This is the most liquid asset. It includes cash in hand, cash at bank, petty cash, demand deposits. But why it is important? Because it is used for daily expenses, salary payments, electricity, rent, transport expenses, and the emergency payments. For example, a shop has rupees 8,000 rupees in cash and rupees 42,000 rupees in bank. Total cash in hand and cash at bank is rupees 50,000 rupees. Cash is king in business. Cash is king in business. The second transaction we consider as a current asset is the inventory. Inventory means stock of goods held for sale or production. It includes raw materials, work in progress, and finished goods. Why this inventory is current asset? Because It will be sold and converted into cash soon. For example, a bakery holds flour, sugar as raw material, cake under the preparation, that is work in progress, ready cakes for sale, that is finished goods, all are inventory, right? All those inventories converted to cash in future period. Unsold stock today becomes cash tomorrow. Unsold stock today becomes cash tomorrow. The third, the major component considered as a current asset is the debtors. Customers who purchase goods on credit, they owe money to business. For example, you sell goods worth rupees 10,000 to some X on credit. That X is your debtor, right? Why debtor is current asset? Because businesses expect to collect cash from them within short time. The credit period is very short. If debtors delay payment, cash problem arises. Debtors are cash in waiting. Debtors are cash in waiting. The fourth component is bills receivable. Bills receivables are written promises from customer to pay money on a specific future date. It usually comes in form of promissory note or bills of exchange accepted by debtor. For example, customer signs a bill. I promise to pay rupees 5,000 rupees after 2 months. This becomes bill receivable for business. But why current asset? Because it will become cash on maturity date. Bills receivable are confirmed future cash. That's why we consider bill receivable as current asset. The fifth component is short term investments. These are all the investment made for short period, usually less than 1 year or one financial year. For example, fixed deposit for 3 to 6 months in a bank, treasury bill, generally called as in the TBs, mutual fund, especially the liquid funds, marketable shares bought for short-term profit. But why it is current asset? Because they can be quickly sold, easily converted into cash. For example, business invest rupees 50,000 rupees in liquid mutual fund for 4 months. If you consider the duration of that mutual fund is 4 months, this is the current asset. Short term investments are parked cash. Short term investments are parked cash. All components of current assets have one common goal: they will convert into cash. That is why we say current assets are future cash. Efficient management of these assets ensures smooth working of the business. Current liabilities are those obligations which must be paid within one accounting year or operating cycle. The simple idea: current liabilities are future payments. Current liabilities are the future payments. The first component we consider as a current liability is creditors. Creditors are suppliers from whom goods are purchased on credit. It means Businesses buy goods now and pay later. For example, you purchase goods worth rupees 20,000 from a wholesaler on credit. The wholesaler becomes your creditor. But why creditor is current liability? Because business must pay them soon, usually within 30 to 90 days or 1 month to 3 months. If not managed, the creditors delay payment leads to supplier stops credit or the credit facility. Business reputation suffers. Creditors are not enemies. They are temporary financiers of business. Creditors are not enemies. They are temporary financiers of the business. The second component of current liability is bills payable. Bills payable are written promises by business to pay a certain amount on a future date. It arises when suppliers draws a bill and business accepts the bill. For example, you accept a bill that I promise to pay rupees 10,000 rupees after 3 months. For business, this becomes bills payable. It is a liability. But why the current liability? Because it will go out as cash on maturity. Bills payable or confirmed future payments. That's why it is the current liability. The third component is short term loans. These are all the loans taken for a short period, generally less than 1 year. For example, bank overdraft, cash credit, working capital loan, short term business loans. Why are taken? To meet daily expenses, to purchase stock, to manage seasonal demand. For example, business takes rupees 1 lakh overdraft from a bank for 6 months. This is the short term loan. That's why we call it a current liability. It is for the 6 months only. Short term loans solve today's problems but create tomorrow's payment. Once again, I will repeat, short term loans solve today's problems but create tomorrow's payment. The fourth component is outstanding expenses. Outstanding expenses are expenses already incurred but not yet paid. For example, outstanding salary, outstanding rent, outstanding electricity bill, outstanding telephone charges. For example, salary for March is rupees 50,000 rupees but paid in April. Salary outstanding becomes current liability. But why does a liability? Because business is legally bound to pay. Business is legally bound to pay. Outstanding expenses are hidden payments waiting to be paid. Outstanding expenses are hidden payments waiting to be paid. All components of current liabilities represent money that must go out soon. That is why we say current liabilities are future payments. Efficient businesses always control their current liabilities to avoid liquidity crisis. Working capital operating cycle. Operating cycle means time taken to convert cash into cash again. Operating cycle means time taken to convert cash into cash again. Businesses does not earn profit immediately. Cash moves in a circular flow. That full circle is called operating cycle. A business does not work like cash leads to profit immediately. Instead of this, it work like cash for purchase raw material. It means that cash converted into raw material converted into finished goods converted into the marketable product or the finished product. That finished or marketable product receives money from customers in the market, and from that market, cash received. It means that cash to cash is a process. This complete journey of money is called operating cycle. Money goes on a journey and comes back. That journey time is operating cycle. Money goes on a journey and comes back. That journey time is operating cycle. Imagine you start a small juice shop. First day, you invest rupees 1000 cash to buy fruits. In day 2 or the second day and third day, you prepare juice and sell to customers. Some customers pay immediately, that is the cash. Some customers say, I will pay tomorrow, that is credit. The fifth day, you finally collect full money. So, cash invested on day first and cash returned on day fifth. Therefore, the operating cycle from the investment of 1000 rupees and received the money from the customers in cash or in the credit way after 5 days. That's why the operating cycle is 5 days. The faster cash comes back, the healthier the business. The faster cash come back, the healthier the business. Now go to a little deeper but still simple. In most businesses, operating cycle has 4 stages. The first stage is cash to purchase raw material. Businesses uses cash to buy raw material, goods and packaging materials. In second stage, purchased materials to stock or the inventory. Materials are converted into work in progress or the finished goods. They are stored as a stock, right? The third stage is stock or the inventory to debtors. It means goods are sold either on cash or on credit. Customers who buy on credit become the debtors. The fourth stage is debtor to cash. After 30 days or 60 or 90 days, on the base of the credit period, customers pay money back. Now cash is back again. One operating cycle is complete. Operating cycle links cash, stock, debtors, and back to cash. Why this operating cycle is important? If cash return quickly or the short operating cycle, generally we call this the good or the good operating cycle. Because if cash returns quickly, less need for loan, less interest burden, smooth daily operations, and better liquidity. For example, a supermarket where customers mostly pay in cash is a short cycle, but the long operating cycle we call as in the danger cycle. If the cash returns slowly, money struck in stock, money struck in debtors, businesses needs loans, liquidity problem arises. For example, a furniture business where production takes 2 months, customer pay after 3 months. The operating cycle becomes very long. Longer the operating cycle, greater the working capital requirement. Longer the operating cycle, greater the working capital requirement. That's why we call it in the short operating cycle is good and long operating cycle is danger. First, cash is used to buy goods. Then goods are sold. Then money is collected. The time between giving cash and getting cash back is called operating cycle. Operating cycle equals time taken to convert cash into cash again. Every business runs on cash flow. Operating cycle tells us how fast or slow cash move in a business. A smart business always try to shorten its operating cycle because faster cash means stronger business. Operating cycle means time taken to convert cash into cash again. The length of operating cycle directly affects liquidity and working capital of a business. Shorter operating cycle, we call this in the better liquidity cycle. When operating cycle is short, cash invested returns quickly. Businesses does not wait long period for money. Daily expenses can be paid easily, less dependency on loans. Businesses feels financially comfortable. A simple example, a supermarket buys goods today, sells tomorrow. Customers pay immediately, either through cash or through UPI. Therefore, cash invested today, cash received tomorrow. The operating cycle is very short. When the operating cycle is very short, the end result will be plenty of cash available, strong liquidity, and smooth operations. Faster the cash rotation, stronger the liquidity position. Faster the cash rotation, stronger the liquidity position. Longer operating cycle leads to more working capital essentiality in the business. When operating cycle is long, it leads to money is stuck in stock for a long time. Money is stuck in debtors for a long time. Cash does not return quickly. Businesses need external funds to survive. For example, manufacturing businesses like furniture factory buys raw material, production takes for 1 to 2 months, goods sold on credit, customers pay after 60 days or 90 days. Here, cash invested today, but cash return after 3 to 4 months. It means operating cycle is very long. When the operating cycle is very long, leads to business needs large working capital. Slow cash movement increases working capital requirement. Slow cash movement increases working capital requirement. Operating cycle plays a crucial role in working capital management. A shorter cycle improves liquidity and reduces needs for external finance. A larger cycle increases working capital requirement and financial pressure. Therefore, every business must try to reduce its operating cycle for better health. Every business must try to reduce its operating cycle for better financial health. My dear learners, now we will discuss on the following concepts: why manufacturing businesses have high inventory. Second one is why their business cycle is long and why they depend heavily on bank finance. By the end of this video, you will understand this concept so clearly that you can explain it to anyone using the simple factory example. A manufacturing businesses does not sell ready-made products. It creates products. For example, a garment factory, they must first buy the raw material like cloth, buttons, threads, labels. Then they must cut the cloth, stitch the shirts, pack the products, store finished goods, then sell to wholesaler or the customers. This entire process takes time, money, and resources. That is why working capital requirement is high in the manufacturing units. Manufacturing businesses maintain three types of inventory. First one is raw material stock. For example, cloth rolls, button, zip, thread in the case of the garment industries. Second one is the work in progress, partially stitched shirts inside the factory. Third one is the finished goods stock, fully completed shirts ready for sale. So, money is blocked in raw materials, semi-finished goods, and finished goods or the finished product. This is called high investment in inventory of a manufacturing unit. For example, a shirt factory may have rupees 5 lakh for cloth, rupees 3 lakh of half stitched shirts, rupees 7 lakh of ready stock. Total inventory is rupees 15 lakh. All this money is blocked before even a single rupee is received from the customer. That is why manufacturing businesses need large working capital. The second one is long operating cycle. Manufacturing businesses follow a long operating cycle. Let us understand this using the factory example of say the garment or the textile industry. For example, day one factory purchase the cloth or the raw material. When they purchase it, the shipment, transportation, and everything, the day 10, they start the production activity, that is, the cutting begins. The process it takes minimum of 8 to 9 days or 10 days. Day 20th, the stitching completes of related to that cloth. Day 25th, packaging completes. Day 30th, shirt sent to wholesaler. Day 60th, the wholesaler finally pays the money. So from day 1 to day 60, the business has not received any cash but has spent money on materials, salaries, electricity, rent, transportation, and packaging. This gap between payment and receipt is called the operating cycle. Manufacturing businesses have long operating cycle, more money blocked, higher working capital requirement. The third important point is dependence on bank finance. Now the big question, if money is blocked for so long, how does the factory survive? The simple answer is bank finance. Manufacturing businesses commonly use cash credit, famously called as a CC account, overdraft facility, called as the OD facility, working capital loans, bill discounting, and short-term bank loans. Banks provide loan for any manufacturing industry based on the stock value, debtors, and the total turnover of the business. For example, if factory has stock worth rupees 20 lakh, bank may give working capital loan of rupees 12 lakh to 15 lakh maximum. Without bank finance, factory cannot buy raw material, workers cannot be paid, production will stop. So the bank finance becomes the lifeline of manufacturing businesses. Let us understand everything with one complete example. The expression, a small shoe manufacturing factory. The owner spent rupees 5 lakh on leather, rupees 2 lakh on wages, rupees 1 lakh on electricity and rent. Total investment is 8 lakh. It takes 30 days to manufacture shoes, 30 more days to sell and collect the money. For 60 days, he needs money continuously, right? He does not receive any cash from the customer immediately or from the market. So The owner approaches the bank. Bank gives him a working capital loan of rupees 6 lakh. Using this, the owner continues production, pays wages or salary to the employees, buy the raw material, and run the factory smoothly. This is how working capital works in real life. Dear learners, remember, manufacturing businesses need high working capital because they maintain high inventory, they have a long operating cycle, they depend heavily on bank finance. If you understand this clearly, you have understood one of the most important topic in commerce and business. Now we will focus on three key features of working capital in trading business. First one is no production stage. Second one is fast turnover. Third one is trade credit is very important. Don't worry, I will explain each point with simple language and real life example. So stay till the end. What is a trading business? Before jumping in, let's quickly revise. A trading business is one that buys goods, sell the same goods, does not manufacture or produce anything. For example, wholesale shops, retail stores, grocery shops, mobile phone dealers, online sellers like Amazon, Flipkart. Now, let's see how working capital works in such business. The first major feature of working capital in a trading business is there is no production process. Unlike the manufacturing businesses, a trading business does not buy raw materials, does not convert them into the finished goods, does not incur production cost. So, there are no expenses like factory wages, power and fuel, manufacturing cost, production overheads. Then, what does this mean of working capital? Working capital is not blocked in production, less complexity in the operations. Funds are mainly used for purchasing finished goods. Then, what is the meaning of working capital? For example, a retail mobile shop buys ready made mobile phones of different brands, sell them directly to customers. No manufacturing at all, right? Hence, working capital requirement is simple for understanding. Working capital requirement is simpler and lower compared to manufacturing businesses in trading businesses. The second important feature in trading business working capital is fast turnover. Turnover means how quickly money invested in goods come back as a cash through sales. In trading business, goods are bought, sold quickly, cash is recovered fast. Why is turnover fast? The question may be arise, right? Because no time spent on production. Goods are ready for sale. Demand is usually regular. For example, think about a grocery store. Goods are sold daily, stock moves quickly, cash keeps rotating. Money cycle look like cash leads to stock, stock leads to sale, sale leads to cash again. This cycle happens very fast in trading business. Therefore, impact on the working capital is less money blocked for a long time, Same capital can be used repeatedly. Third one is business can run smoothly even with limited fund. The third feature of working capital in trading business is trade credit. Trade credit means buying goods now and paying later. Suppliers give the credit period or allow traders for 30 days, 60 days, or sometimes 90 days of the credit. But why the trade credit is so important? Because traders buy goods on credit, sell goods quickly, collect the cash from customer instantly, and pay suppliers later. This reduces the need for own working capital. For example, a shopkeeper buys a goods worth 1 lakh rupees on credit, sells them within 20 days, received cash from customers, pays suppliers after 30 days. Business runs without using own money. But what are the benefits of trade credit? The first benefit is improved liquidity, reduce cash requirements, helps small traders survive, act as a source of working capital. That's why trade credit is called the lifeline of a trading business. Trading business has no production, working capital turns over very fast. Trade credit is extremely important because of these features. Working capital requirement is simpler, funds are used efficiently, business operations remain smooth. Now I will explain the working capital in service business with using three key features: low inventory, high salary and rent expenses. Third one is cash flow is critical. And we will understand everything with a real life example of a coaching institute. Let's begin. A service business is one that provides services, does not sell physical goods. For example, coaching institutes, schools and colleges, hospitals, saloons, IT companies, etc. In a service business, the focus is on people, skills, and expertise, not products. The first major feature of working capital in a service business is low or no inventory. Service businesses do not keep large stock. They do not deal in goods. They do not need warehouses. There may be some basic materials, but inventory is very limited. For example, coaching institute does not sell any physical products, may only have study material, books, and stationaries. Compared to the trading or manufacturing businesses, this inventory is very small. But how the impact on working capital will be takes place? Very little money blocked in stock in the case of the service businesses, lower storage cost, and less risk of loss of damage. So, inventory is not a major component of working capital in service businesses. Second one is high salary and rent expenses. This feature in service businesses, people are the main assets. Service industries expect the skilled employees, or the skilled employees are required for the service industry. Fixed monthly payments are high, especially in the service industry. And the same way, the major expenses include, if you consider as a education, tutorial or the tuition center. In the case of the coaching institute example, the coaching institute must pay teacher salary every month, office staff salaries, rent for classrooms, electricity, internet, and maintenance. These expenses are fixed and regular, whether students pay fee or not. But the impact on working capital is continuous cash outflow, high dependency on monthly collection, and working capital requirement is more for expenses, not stock. Hence, managing salaries and rent is a key working capital challenge. The third feature is cash flow is critical. The most crucial feature of service business working capital is cash flow is extremely important. Service businesses cannot store services, cannot sell later. If today's service is missed, depend heavily on timely cash inflows. If cash does not come on time, salaries cannot be paid, rent may be delayed, business operation suffers. It's the same example, the coaching institute. If students delay paying the fees, or pay in installments, or drop out in the mid course, but the institute still has to pay salary to the teachers, pay the rent, pay the electricity bills. Even a profitable institute can face problems due to the poor cash flows. The impact on the working capital is regular fee collection is essential, advanced fees improve liquidity, cash planning is more important than profits. That's why cash flow management is the backbone of service businesses. Let's quickly summarize. Service businesses have low inventory, salary and rent expenses are high, cash flow is critical for survival. Using the example of a coaching institute, we saw that money is not blocked in stock, expenses are regular and fixed. Cash inflow timing decides business success. Welcome back to Curious Commerce. Working capital in retail business using three powerful ideas. Daily cash inflow, inventory control is critical, and third one is the excess stock block money. Very practical and very real. Working capital is the money required to run the business daily. We already know that. For a retail shop, it mainly includes cash available or availability of the cash, stock in the shop, money to pay suppliers, rent, electricity, salary, and transport expenses. Retail businesses survive not on big profit margins, but on fast movement of money. Daily cash inflow, the strength of the retail business. The biggest advantage of retail business is daily cash inflows. Think about the kirana shops, medical stores, bakery, cloth shop, mobile stores, etc. Every day customers pay using cash, UPI, card or wallet. So money comes in daily and continuously. This daily inflow helps to refill stock, pay daily expenses, manage emergencies, keep business running smoothly. But if sales drop for a few days, the entire cycle gets disturbed. Retail is like a bicycle. If money keeps moving, the business stays balanced. If movement stops, the business falls. The second thing is the inventory control is extremely important. In retail, profit is not only in selling, profit is in managing stock wisely. Let's take an example. A shop has invested 3 lakh rupees in inventory. If items move fast, daily essentials sells quickly, popular brands move regularly, fast moving product dominates, money come back quickly, right? That same money is reused again and again. This is called a healthy working capital cycle. But if stock moves slowly, some products remains unsold for months. Maybe shelf life may be complete in the shelf only. The result of all these things is cash struck. New stock cannot be purchased and business growth stops. Smart retailers don't ask how much stock do I have. They ask how fast is my stock moving. The third one is excess stock block money. One of the biggest mistake in retail is overstocking. Many shop owners think, let me buy more, discount is available. Big shops should look full. Customers should never hear not available. But excess stock creates serious problems. Money gets blocked, cash shortage increases, expiry risk arises, old products become outdated, storage and damage issues increases. For example, if 1 lakh rupees is invested in slow moving items, that rupees 1 lakh is not an asset, it becomes dead money. Smart relator, smart retailers focus on right quantity, right product, and right time. Not more stock, but smart stock. So remember these three golden rules of retail working capital. Retail survives on daily cash inflows. Inventory control decides the success. Excess stock blocks money and growth. Retail success is not about how big the shop looks, it is about how efficiently the money moves inside the business. Fast money movement leads to healthy business. Slow money movement leads to struggling business. Working capital in a factory. In a factory, money gets tied up in raw materials, work in progress goods, finished goods, wages, and power bills. transport, and maintenance. Unlike retail, factory money moves slowly and in stages. That is why working capital management becomes critical in factories. Before production even starts, a factory must purchase raw materials. For example, cloth for garment factory, steel for engineering unit, plastic granules for molding units, chemicals for pharma unit. If you take any example, large quantity must be purchased and stored before production activity starts. That means big money gets blocked before any sales happen. For example, a furniture factory buys wood worth rupees 10 lakh. That 10 lakh is blocked in godown. Is it right? No cash inflow yet. Only after production and sale money returns. So factories always feel capital is stuck inside the material. The second major thing is the credit sales. Most factories sell their goods on credit. Why? What is the reason? Because their customers are wholesalers, distributors, big retailers, and corporate buyers. These buyers say, give material now, we will pay after 30 or 60 or 90 days. So even after goods are sold, invoice is raised, goods delivered, but cash does not come immediately. This creates a serious problem. Sales increase, but cash does not increase. This is called working capital gap. Factory may look profitable on paper, but inside cash flow is weak. The third one is bank overdraft. Because money is blocked in, raw material we already stored in the inventory, and the money blocked in work in progress stage, and money blocked in market with the credit customers. Factories often face cash shortage. So what do? They take bank overdraft, cash credit loans, and working capital loans. This facility allow them to pay wages, pay electricity bill, buy raw materials, run machines continuously. That is why in manufacturing businesses, bank finance for working capital is normal, not exception. Many healthy factories also use overdraft regularly. So remember these three factory realities. Large money blocked in raw materials, credit sales delay cash inflow, bank overdraft becomes necessary. Manufacturing businesses is not only about production, it is about managing cash timing. A factory may have big orders and big machines, but without strong working capital management, even a good factory can collapse at any time. A hospital is open 24 by 7, doctors are available, nurses are working, medicines are stocked. But still, many hospital owners say hospital running well, but cash flow always tight. Why? Because hospitals face a unique working capital challenge. Let us understand working capital in a hospital business using three real issues: high monthly expenses, equipment loans, and delay in insurance payments. Working capital is the money needed to run day to day operations, right? In a hospital, it includes salaries for doctors, nurses, and staffs, medicines and consumables, electricity, oxygen, and maintenance, ambulance facility and lab costs, rent and administrative expenses. Hospital must spend continuously, even when payment are not received immediately. That create pressure on cash flow. High monthly expenses in a hospital cannot pause operations. Even month they must pay doctor salaries, nursing staff salary, salary to technicians, salary or wages to housekeeping, wages to security, electricity bill payment. It is very high usage in hospitals generally, and oxygen facilities they should pay in advance, medicines and injections. These expenses are fixed and unavoidable. Even if patient inflow is low for a month, expenses remain high. This makes hospital working capital very sensitive, very demanding, and very continuous. Cash must be ready even each and every second of the hospital business. And second one is equipment loan. Equipment loans create continuous pressure. Modern hospitals depend on expensive equipment like MRI machines, CT scans, ventilators, operation theater equipment, ICU systems, and etc. These machines cost generally lakhs, sometimes crores. But hospitals buy them using bank loans, EMI financing, and leasing. So every month hospital must pay EMI or interest or maintenance contracts. Even if equipment is not used, EMI still has to be paid. This creates continuous pressure on working capital. Third one is delay in insurance payments. A major part of hospital revenue comes from health insurance companies, corporate health plans, and government schemes. But the insurance payments are never immediate. The process usually looks like this: patient treated today, document submitted. This is the procedure, general procedure. Verification happens, approval process, payment comes after 30 or 60 or 90 days. That means service given today, expenses paid today, but money received after month. So hospitals often face heavy outstanding bills, cash shortages, and dependence on loans. This delay seriously affect working capital. So remember these three hospital realities: high fixed monthly expenses, heavy EMI burden for equipment, long delays in insurance payment. Hospital management is not only about healthcare, it is all about financial discipline. A hospital can save lives, but without strong working capital management, the hospital business itself struggled to survive. Welcome back to Curious Commerce. A hotel looks beautiful, rooms are ready, staff is present, kitchen is running. But hotel owner says during season, full booking, during off season, cash problem. Why does this happen? because hotel businesses face a serious working capital challenge. Today, let us clearly understand working capital in hotel business with three realities. The first reality is seasonal income. Second one is fixed expenses always. Third one is off-season cash shortage. Working capital means the money required to run daily operations. In hotel, it includes staff salary, electricity, it includes AC, greaser, lighting, etc., water and laundry expenses, kitchen supplies, maintenance and housekeeping, marketing and online booking commissions. Hotel must spend money every day, right? But income does not come equally every month. It will be changed, plus fluctuating. That creates imbalances. The seasonal income, the biggest reality of hotels. Hotels depend heavily on tourist seasons, holiday periods or holiday packages, wedding seasons, and business travel seasons. During peak season, rooms are fully booked, restaurant is busy, event and parties increases, revenue flow is too strong. But during the off season, rooms remains empty, event bookings reduces, restaurant footfall drops, income falls sharply. So, hotel income is uneven, unpredictable, and highly seasonal. This create working capital stress. Second one is fixed expenses never stop. Even when guests are few, hotel expenses continue. Every month, hotel must pay staff salary, electricity bill, internet, software systems, maintenance, repairs, bank EMIs, property rent or loan, etc. These expenses are fixed, continuous, and unavoidable. Hotel cannot tell staff this was no guest, no salary, right? So cash must be ready regardless of income. Third one is off-season causes cash shortage. Here is the real challenge in the business of hotel industry. During the peak season, hotel earns well, good cash inflow, business looks very healthy. But during the off season, income drops, expenses remain constant, cash reserves get used, working capital dries up. Many hotels struggle not because of business is bad, but because they fail to manage cash between seasons. Smart hotel owners save surplus from peak season, maintain cash buffers, control expenses in off season, and plan working capital in advances. So remember these three hotel business truth. Income is seasonal, expenses are permanent, off season creates cash pressure. Hotel success is not only about luxury rooms, it is about smart financial planning. A successful hotel is one that manages cash during bad months using profit of good months. Many businesses fail not because they are making losses, but because they run out cash. Sales are happening, profit is shown in books, but still business collapses. Why? What is the reason? Because working capital is not available at the right time. So today we will understand a very important topic, sources of working capital. Four practical sources every business uses: trade credit, bank finance, short term loans, and customer advances. This is not theory, this is real business survival knowledge. Working capital is the money needed for daily expenses, stock purchase, salary, rent, electricity, transportation, and operations. But where does this money come from? It is called sources of working capital. A good business is not one that only earns profit. A good business is one that arranges cash intelligently. Trade credit, the most common source for the working capital. Trade credit means buying goods today and paying later. For example, a shop buys goods worth rupees 50,000 from wholesaler. Wholesaler says pay after 30 days. That 30 days is free finance. This is trade credit. So the common doubt, why it is powerful? What is the speciality in the trade credit? No interest cost for the trade credit. Easy availability. It is just a contract between the two people. Sometimes it is a oral contract. Improves cash flow. Helps small business survive. Almost, almost every businesses use trade credit, like retailers, wholesalers, factories, and distributors. But danger is also there. If you delay too much, suppliers' trust reduces. So smart businesses use trade credit carefully. Second one is the bank finance as a formal support system, or it is a traditional. When internal cash is not enough, businesses go to banks. Banks provide working capital in many forms, namely cash credit. In banking terminology, they call it as an CC, overdraft, or OD, working capital loan, bill discounting, and short term business loans. For example, a factory needs rupees 20 lakh for raw material. Bank gives CC limit, cash credit limit of rupees 15 lakh. Business uses it, pays interest only on used amount. Bank finance helps business to handle big orders, manage seasonal demand, pay salaries or the emergency commitments, run operations smoothly. But remember, bank money is disciplined money. Document required for taking the financial assistance from the bank. It includes the interest cost, Sometimes it creates repayment pressure also, and regular monitoring is essential. So it must be used wisely, not emotionally. Third one is short term loans. Short term loans are quick but costly. Sometimes businesses need urgent money, emergency money, salary payment tomorrow, but it's too urgent, right? Suppliers demanding for payment, emergency stock purchase for operations factory, and unexpected breakdowns. Then they take short term loans. The major sources for the short term loans are NBFC, non banking financial corporations, fintech apps, private lenders, and microfinance institutions. They are the sources for the short term loans. These loans are easy to get, very quick approval, and less documentation, almost no documentation at all. It is almost 100% paperless. But the danger part is the interest rate is too high and the repayment period is too short. The trap of the short term loan creates the emergency in the debt cycle. So, rule is simple: use short term loans for emergency, not for habit. The fourth one is advances from customer. This is the best sources of working capital. Customer pay first, business deliver later. For example, advance booking for hotels, advance for construction work, token advance money for flat, advance for event management, pre-order for product and subscription models. Here, business gets cash first, right? No internet cost, no bank pressure, no repayment tensions. Generally, big companies like Amazon, Zomato, Ola, Airlines, and some coaching institutions all use customer advance model. Smart businesses design their models so that customer funds the working capital. So remember the four major sources of working capital: trade credit, just for suppliers support you. Bank finance means formal system supports you. Short term loan, it is an emergency support system. Customer advances, best and smarter support for the business. Business success is not just about the profit, it is about cash timing, cash planning, and cash discipline. The entrepreneurs who understand working capital never fears about the business growth. The first sources of working capital is the trade credit. Imagine the situation: you start a small shop, you don't have much cash, but you go to a wholesaler, pick stock worth around 50,000 rupees, and the wholesaler says pay after 30 days. For that worth of 50,000 rupees of stock has the nature of no loan. It is not treated as a loan. It is not borrowed from the bank, and the internet is not necessary for that, right? Still, you got stock. This this is not luck. This is called trade credit. And this one concept is the backbone of small businesses. Today, let us clearly understand what is trade credit, how it reduces cash outflow, why it is common for small businesses. Simple, practical, real business understanding. Trade credit means buying goods or services now and paying for them later. It is supplier provided finance. For example, retailer buys goods today, supplier gives 30 days time to pay, that is credit period. Retailer sells goods in the market, retailer collects the cash from the customer, and retailer pays suppliers later. So supplier becomes like a temporary financier for the retailer. No paperwork, no EMI, no internet, just trust and business relationship. That's why trade credit is the most natural form of working capital. Supplier credit, the real meaning of trade credit. Trade credit exists only because of suppliers' trust. Suppliers gives credit when buyer is regular, payment history is good, relationship is strong, and business volume is steady. In many markets, suppliers offer terms like 15 days credit period or 30 days or 45 days. Sometimes up to 90 days they are given the credit period. For example, a medical shop buys medicines daily, distributor gives 30 days credit in general. So medicine shop runs entire month using suppliers' money. That's why trade credit is called suppliers' credit. In reality, thousands of businesses survive only because of supplier support. Trade credit reduces immediate cash outflow. This is the biggest benefit. Without trade credit, shop must pay cash immediately. Cash gets exhausted quickly. Business growth becomes slow. With trade credit, stock is purchased without paying the cash now. Goods are sold to customers. Money is collected and supplier is paid later. So business enjoys a cash flow advantage. For example, you buy goods worth rupees 1 lakh on 30 days credit period. You sell those goods within 20 days and collect 1 lakh 20,000 rupees. You pay suppliers just 1 lakh rupees on 30th day. You still have 20,000 rupees surplus. This is smart working capital management, right? Trade credit always allows business to rotate money faster, grow without big investment, reduce dependence on bank loans. Why trade credit is common for small businesses? Small businesses usually face limited capital, no strong bank access, less collateral value, and cash flow pressure. If small businesses opt for financial assistance from bank demands documents, banks demand security, banks analyze history, and banks demand for the guarantees. But suppliers demand only one thing, that is trust and regular payment. That's why kirana shops, mobile shops, garment stores, hardware shops, pharmacies, and small factories all depend heavily on trade credit. For many small businesses, trade credit is not an option, it is a survival. So remember three powerful truths about trade credit. It is supplier's credit, not bank credit. It reduces immediate cash outflow. It is the lifeline of small businesses. Trade credit is invisible finance. No agreements, no internet, but huge impact. The business person who manages trade credit wisely can grow even with limited capital. Imagine the situation. Your businesses need money today, but next week you will receive customers' payment. So you don't need a big loan, you just need temporary support. You go to bank and bank says you have overdraft and cash credit facility. You use money when needed. You return when cash comes. You pay interest only for usage. This is called smart borrowing. Today, let us clearly understand what is bank overdraft, what is cash credit, why it is flexible, and why interest is charged only on usage. Shall we discuss one by one? Overdraft and cash credit both are working capital facilities provided by banks. They are not like fixed loans, they are like a financial safety cushion. Banks gives a limit, for example, rupees 5 lakh on OD limit, rupees 5 lakh on cash credit limit. You are allowed to withdraw money when needed, deposit money when available, use again and again. So it works like a business current account with extra power. Flexible borrowing, that is the biggest advantage of OD and CC. In normal loan, you take full amount, EMI starts immediately, and interest on full amount. But in the case of OD and CC, you take only what you need or how much you need. You return when cash comes. You can borrow again and again. For example, bank gives OD limit of 5 lakh rupees. Day 1, you use 1 lakh rupees only. Day 10, you receive customer payment, you deposit 1 lakh rupees to that OD account. For 20th day, again you need 2 lakh rupees. You have the chance to withdraw again. This flexibility helps business to handle ups and downs, manage daily expenses, pay suppliers on time, and avoid cash pressure. That's why OD and CC are called running finance facilities. Interest only on usage, not on full limit. This is the smartest part of OD and CC. Suppose OD limit of rupees 10 lakh, but you used only 2 lakh rupees, then interest is charged only on 2 lakh, not on 10 lakh rupees. If tomorrow you deposit money and outstanding became rupees 50,000, then interest is calculated only on 50,000 rupees. So, less usage, less interest, more discipline, more savings. This encourages businesses to use money only when needed, return quickly when cash comes, maintain financial discipline. OD and CC reward smart cash management. But what is the difference between OD and CC? The overdraft is linked to current account, but cash credit is linked to working capital account. That is the basic difference. OD is for common for service and traders. Cash credit is common for factories and large traders. OD is based on account turnover. Cash credit is based on stock and receivables. But both OD and CC has the flexibility. But purpose of both is same. Smooth working capital flow. So remember, OD and CC provide flexible borrowing. You can withdraw and repay anytime. Interest is charged only on amount used. They help business survive cash fluctuations. Smart businesses do not fear bank facilities. They use them strategically. Bank overdraft and cash credit are not danger. They are tools. Used wisely, they become powerful growth engines. A business gets a big order, but money is needed immediately. Stock must be purchased, staff must be paid, delivery must happen on time. But cash will come only next month. So, what does the business do? It takes a short term loan. It's helpful? Yes. It's dangerous if you overused? Also, yes. Today, let us understand what are short term loans, how they help in seasonal needs, why they increase interest burden. The first question is, what are short term loans? Short term loans are loans taken for a short duration, usually less than 1 year. They are used to manage temporary cost shortage, urgent business expenses, short term working capital gaps. These loans are provided by banks, non banking financial corporation, NBFCs, fintech app, and microfinance institutions. They are easy to take, but they must be used wisely. It is useful for seasonal needs. Many businesses are seasonal by nature. For example, garment shops during festivals, sweet shops during Diwali, hotels during tourist season, umbrella selling in rainy season, school supplies before academic year. During the peak seasons, demand is increased suddenly. Stock must be increased, extra staff needed, more working capital required. Businesses may take short-term loan to buy extra stock, manage higher expenses, handle temporary demand. This is smart usage of short-term loan because demand is temporary, income will come soon, loan can be repaid quickly, but short-term loans increases interest burden. Here is the danger. Short-term loans are generally easy to get. It is fast approval and very minimal documentation. But they are also high interest, strict repayment schedule, risky if income is delayed. If businesses starts using short-term loans regularly, interest costs keep increasing, profits start reducing, cash pressure becomes permanent, debt trap begins in the business. For example, loan taken for rupees 1 lakh, interest paid 20,000 rupees in few months. That 20,000 rupees is money lost from profit. So, rule is simple. Short-term loans should be solve temporary problems, not become permanent habit. So remember two powerful truths. Short-term loans help during seasonal or temporary needs, but they increase interest burden if overused. Smart businesses use short-term loans like medicine, small dose when needed, not daily habits. Because working capital should support business, not slowly destroy it. Imagine the situation. A customer comes to you and discuss about your business and gives you money before you deliver the product or service. For this activity, loan is not necessary, right? Because already amount is paid. That's why the bank facility is not necessary, no internet necessity, and no repayment tension. This is not the charity, this is the smart business model. This is called advance from customers. Today, let us understand what it is, how it improves liquidity, why it is common in service businesses. Customer advances means customer pays the money first, business delivers product or service later. For example, coaching classes or education institution fees paid in advance, right? Hotel room advance booking, event management token advances, interior work advances, construction work advances, online subscriptions, software yearly plans, etc. 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 Here, customer becomes the financier of your business. That is why this is concerned the business. That's why this is considered the best sources of working capital. It improves liquidity. That's the biggest advantage. Liquidity means availability of cash when needed. When customers pay in advance, businesses get cash immediately. No need to wait for income, no need for bank loan, no interest cost. This helps businesses to pay expenses smoothly, buy materials or the raw materials purchase, salary or wages to the staff, invest in the growth activity of the business. For example, a coaching institute collect rupees 50,000 fee from 100 students in advance. Total cash received is rupees 50 lakh. Now, institute can pay the money or the salary or wages to the staff and possible to get the better building for the rent and better for the marketing activity and better for the improved quality of the product or the service, all using customers advance money only. This is powerful liquidity. It is common in service businesses. Customer advances are very common in service business or service sector. Why? Because service is delivered over time, no physical product immediately, right? But as trust relationship is built, advance confirms customer commitments. The common examples as follows: tuition classes, yoga centers, interior designers, construction companies. Maybe the construction companies are related to the general business, it's not the service business. Sometimes the maintenances, AMCs, annual maintenance charges, freelancers, consultants, wedding planners. These businesses run largely on advance payment. In fact, many successful companies design their model so that customer pays first, business delivers later. So remember two powerful truths about advances from customers. Customer advances improve liquidity. They are very common in service-based business. Smart businesses don't run behind banks. They design systems where customers fund the working capital. This is the healthiest way to grow any business. For more simple and practical business concepts, subscribe to Curious Commerce, where commerce becomes clear and useful. Two businesses are in the same profit, same city, same customers. But one business runs smoothly while the others always struggle with cash. Why? What is the reason? Because working capital is not only about money, it is about many hidden factors that decide how much cash a business actually needs. Now we will clearly understand factors affecting working capital. Majorly, five most important ones are nature of business, size of business, production cycle, credit policy, and market condition. Once you understand these, you will start understanding business cash problem like a professional. What does factors affecting working capital mean? Every business needs working capital, right? But the amount required is different for business to business. Because of this, business needs depends on type of the business, how big the business is, how fast production happens, how customers pay, and market situation. These influences are called factors affecting working capital. Let us understand each with simple example. First one is nature of business. The type of the business directly decides working capital needs. For example, in the case of service businesses or service sector, the working capital level is very low. For example, in the case of service businesses, the consulting firms, coaching centers, freelancers, digital marketing, software services, they don't need big stock, right? The raw material is not necessary and warehouse also. So working capital requirement is low. But in the case of the trading business, the working capital is medium in nature. The working capital is essential. For example, retail shops, wholesalers, distributors, they must maintain stock, variety of goods, and storage, or the inventory, or the warehouse. So they need moderate working capital. But in the case of the manufacturing business, the high level working capital maintenance is essential, or the working capital importance is very high in the case of the manufacturing businesses. In the case of the factories or the production units, they need the huge working capital. Or in the case of the batch production, or in the case of the mass production, or in the case of the line production industries, they need the huge working capital. They need money for buy raw materials, for work in progress activity, for store the finished products, or for the salary or wages to the laborers or the employees, and power, the electricity power, and transportation facilities. So manufacturing businesses need the highest working capital. On the basis of our discussion, it is possible to conclude that nature of business decides whether working capital need is low, medium, or high. The second factor is size of the business. Big businesses need big working capital. Small businesses need small working capital. It is very simple. For example, a small kirana shop, stock worth around 50,000 rupees, and few customers and very low expenses, needs small working capital. It is a common sense, right? But in the case of big supermarkets, stock worth around 50 lakh, hundreds of thousands of customers daily, many staff, high electricity, and high rent, needs huge working capital in the case of the big supermarkets. As the business grows, more customers, more stock, more staff, more expenses. So working capital requirement automatically increase. Bigger the business, bigger the working capital. Smaller the business, smaller the working capital. Third factor is the production cycle. Production cycle means time taken to convert raw material into finished product and sell it. Short production cycle demands less working capital. Long production cycle demands more working capital. For example, bakery buy flour today, makes bread today, sell today, cash comes quickly. Working capital requirement is low. But in the case of the furniture factory, buy the wood now, store the wood for certain duration, and cutting, designing, polishing, finishing, deliver after certain days or certain weeks. Money is blocked for a long time, so working capital requirement is high. In the case of the real estate projects, construction takes years. Money is blocked for a long period. So working capital requirement becomes very high. Longer the production cycle, higher the working capital needed. Shorter the production cycle, lower the working capital needed. The fourth factor is the credit policy. Credit policy means how much credit you give to customers, how much credit you get from suppliers. Once again, I will repeat how much credit you give to customers, how much credit you get from suppliers. This directly affects working capital. If business gives more credit to customers, sales increase, but cash comes late. More money gets blocked in receivables. So working capital requirement increases. For example, if you sell goods today and customers pays after 60 days, you need money to run business for 60 days, right? If businesses get more credit from suppliers, you buy goods today, pay later, less immediate cash needed. So working capital requirement reduces. And the base of our discussions, generous customer credit, more working capital needed. Good suppliers credit, less working capital needed. Smart businesses manage both sides carefully. And last factor is market condition. External market environment also affect working capital. During the boom, high demand, sales increase, stock needs increase, more working capital required. But during the recession, low demand time, sales decrease, stock remains unsold, cash gets blocked, working capital stress increases. In case of the inflation, raw material prices rise, stock cost increases, more money needed for same quantity. During the uncertainty, like war or pandemic or crisis, payment get delayed, customers hesitate, cash inflow slows. So market conditions can suddenly increase working capital needs or create working capital crisis. That is why smart business always keep cash buffer. So remember these five powerful factors affecting working capital: nature of business, size of business, production cycle, credit policy, and market condition. Working capital is not random. It is designed by business reality. The entrepreneurs who understands these factors can predict cash needs, avoid cash crisis, and grow business confidently. For more such practical businesses and finance knowledge explains simply and a curious commerce. Many businesses don't fail because their idea is bad. Many businesses don't fail because there are no customers. They fail because of simple money mistakes. Sales are happening, profit is shown on paper, but suddenly business says no cash, everything is struck. Why? Because of working capital mistakes. Let us understand four dangerous mistakes that silently kill business. First one is excess inventory. Second one is poor data management. Third one is over dependence on loans. Fourth one is ignoring cash planning. If you understand these four, you will avoid 80% of business cash problems. Why working capital mistakes are dangerous? Working capital is like blood circulation in business. If blood flows is smooth, body is healthy. If cash flow is smooth, business is healthy. But when mistake happen, cash stops flowing and business slowly collapses. Let us see the most common mistakes. First one is excess inventory. Money sleeping on shelf. Many businesses, proprietor or the owner think that more stock means better business. But reality is opposite. Excess inventory means money is blocked, cash is not available, old stock becomes outdated. Expiry risk for FMCG generally, storage and damage loss. For example, a shop invests 2 lakh rupees in slow moving product. That 2 lakh is not asset, it becomes dead money. Smart businesses focus on fast moving stock, right quantity, and regular rotation. Not big stock, but smart stock. Second one is poor debtor management. Customers enjoy, business suffers. Debtor means customers who have taken goods but not yet paid. Many businesses make this mistake, giving credit easily, no clear payment deadlines, no follow up for collections, and feeling shy to ask money. The end result, money stuck with customers, cash shortage inside business, and business runs on stress. For example, you sell goods worth rupees 1 lakh, customer pay after 3 months, but your expenses are today. So who is suffering? You only, right? Sales is important, but collection is more important than sales. Smart rules. Sales creates profit, but collection creates survival. Third mistake is over dependence on loans. That is the silent trap. Loans are useful, but too much dependence is dangerous. Some businesses do this. Very small problem, they are out for the bank loan. EMI becomes routine expense of the business. No new loans to close old loans, and interest eats profit. Slowly, profit reduces, pressure increases, stress increases in the organization, control goes away. Loans should be support system, not permanent lifestyle. Smart businesses use internal cash first, use loans only when really needed, plan repayment clearly. Fourth mistake is ignoring cash planning, running business blindly. Many businesses track sales, profit, and customers, but they don't track cash flows. They don't know how much cash will come next month. They don't know how much expenses are coming. They don't know how much storage may happen. They don't know when they need extra fund. So problems come suddenly. Salary day arrives, no cash. Rent day arrives, no cash. Suppliers demand payment, no cash. This creates panic, emergency borrowing, and bad decisions. Simple solution: maintain basic cash planning, estimate inflow and outflow, keep emergency buffer. Even small planning saves big trouble. So remember these four dangerous working capital mistakes. Excess inventory blocks money, poor debtor management blocks cash, over dependence on loan increases pressure, ignoring cash planning creates surprises. Businesses depends on working capital management. Business success is not only about profit, it is about discipline in cash management. Avoid these mistakes and your business automatically become stronger. Let me say one line very clearly. Profit is an accounting concept. Cash is real money. Many businesses show profit in books, but still cannot pay short term obligations like salary, rent, electricity bill, suppliers payment. Why? What is the reason? Because profit cannot pay salary, but cash can. Today, let us clearly understand the powerful difference between profit and cash with simple real life examples. What is profit and what is cash? Profit is what you see in accounts, sales minus expenses equals to profit. It is a calculation. It is a simple calculation. Sales minus expenses equals to profit. Cash is the actual money available in hand, in bank, or in UPI balance. Profit can exist on paper, cash must exist in reality. This is where most businesses owners get confused. Why profit exists without cash? Let us take simple example. You sell goods worth rupees 1 lakh. Your cost is rupees 70,000. So your profit is 30,000. looks great on paper, but customer says, I will pay after 3 months. It means that 90 days. So today you have profit of rupees 30,000 rupees, but cash received is zero. How it is possible to fulfill the short term obligations like salary, rent, suppliers? That is why we say profit is shown, cash is felt. Real life example why businesses collapse despite of profit. Many businesses grow slowly and aggressively. They give credit to customers. They increase turnover. They show high profit. But collection is slow. Result, money struck with customers, expenses happening daily, cash shortage increases, loans also increase, stress increases in the organization. Finally, businesses collapse, not because profit was low, but because cash was missing. That is called cash flow problems. Third difference is the salary example is most powerful understanding. Let us use your powerful imagination. Profit cannot pay salary, right? But cash can. Is it right? You cannot tell your staff, I made profit this month, so be happy. They need actually money in bank account. Electricity board does not accept your accounting profit. They accept real cash. Suppliers do not accept your profit statement. They accept payments. This shows clearly cash is reality, profit is theory. So remember these golden truths. Profit is an accounting concept, cash is real money. Profit looks good in reports, cash keeps business in track. Profit shows success, cash ensures survival. A business can survive without profit for some time, but no business can survive without cash. That is why smart entrepreneurs focus not only on profit, they focus more on cash flow. For more such powerful business truth explained simply, subscribe to Curious Commerce because real business knowledge is not theory, it is a survival wisdom. Many businesses do not fail because they are making losses. They fail even when they are profitable. Sales are increasing, profit is shown in accounts. Everything looks successful. But suddenly, business shut down. Why? Why does this happen? Because profit on paper is different from survival in real life. Today, let us understand why profitable businesses fail using four real reasons. First one is credit sales. Second one is slow receivable. Third one is high fixed expenses. Fourth one is poor working capital management. A business can show rupees 10 lakh sales and 2 lakh profit, but still have empty bank account, unpaid salaries, pending rent, loan pressure. How is that possible? Because business is not running on profit, business is running on cash flow. Let us see the real causes. Credit sales increase, but cash does not. Many businesses grow by giving credit to customers. They say, take goods today, pay later. The end result, sales look high, profit looks attractive, and cash does not come immediately. That is the problem. If too much credit is given, many gets money gets stuck with customers. Bank balance remains low and expenses still continue. Businesses looks healthy outside, but inside it is financially weak. The second most popular is slow receivables. Money stuck with customers. That is the slow receivables. Even worse problem, customers delay payment. Generally they say next week, next month, a little adjustment needed, and etc. 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 Meanwhile, business must pay salary, rent, electricity, and suppliers. So what happens? Cash pressure increases, stress increases, borrowing increases. The businesses become a bank for customers, while itself struggling for survival. Remember this, sales create profit, collection creates survival. The next is high fixed expenses that create the pressure and organization. It never stops. Some expenses are unavoidable, like rent, staff salaries, loan EMIs, electricity, internet expenses, and maintenance. This must be paid every month, even if sales are low, customers have not paid the money, income is delayed. So, when cash is delayed but expenses are fixed, the business starts collapsing slowly. High fixed cost plus low cash inflow leads to dangerous combination in the business. The last one is poor working capital management. That is the root cause for fail of any business. The biggest reason behind failure is poor working capital management. This includes no control on inventory, no follow up on debtors, over dependence on loans, no cash planning, and no emergency buffer. Business owners focus on sales, marketing, and growth but ignores cash flow, timing of money, and discipline of collection. And that silent negligence destroys even profitable business. Credit sale increase risk. Slow receivables block the cash. High fixed expenses create pressure. Poor working capital management destroys strong businesses. A business does not die because of loss. It dies because of lack of cash discipline. Profit shows success. Cash flow decides the survival. A business has good product, good sales, and good staff, but still struggles with cash shortage, late salary, pending payments, and financial stress. Why? Because no one is managing money properly. That is where the financial manager becomes crucial. Today, let us understand the role of financial manager in four powerful responsibilities, namely planning working capital, monitoring cash flow, controlling inventory, and last one is managing directors. Who is financial manager? A financial manager is not just an accountant. Accountant records past data. Financial manager controls the future of money. Financial manager ensures right amount of money at the right time for the right purpose. The first one is planning working capital. The financial manager must estimate how much cash is needed this month, how much stock is required for the organization, how much salary must be paid, how much suppliers payment is due, whether extra funds are needed. If planning is poor, cash shortage happens, leads to emergency loans taken, and businesses face stress. Good financial manager always plans money before problem arise. Second one is monitoring cash flows. Cash flow means money coming in and money going out. Financial manager continuously tracks how much cash is coming from customers, how much is going out for expenses, whether collection are delayed, and whether expenses are increasing. If cash inflow is slow, he alerts management early. He suggests action before crisis. Without cash flow monitoring, business runs blindly. Third one is controlling inventory. Stock is money. So financial manager must ensure no excess inventory, no dead stock, no unnecessary purchase. Focus on fast moving items. If inventory is too high, money gets blocked, cash shortage happens in the organization, and business becomes weak. Smart financial manager asks, this is stock really needed, not just is the stock available. Last one is managing debtors. Debtors are customers who have not paid yet. Financial manager must ensure credit is given carefully, payment deadlines are fixed, follow up for collection is regular, long overdue accounts are controlled. Because sales gives profit, collection gives survival. If debtors are poorly managed, cash struck outside, expenses inside continue, and business suffers silently. So remember the four key rules of financial manager: planning working capital, monitoring cash flow, controlling inventory, and managing debtors. A good financial manager is not just a cost controller, he is the financial backbone of the business. Strong financial manager create the strong business. Weak financial manager create weakness in cash flow. He create just business trouble. Now we are in the last step of the topic, working capital management. Business successes depend on liquidity. Proper working capital management ensure stability and growth. Thank you for watching Curious Commerce. Subscribe to Curious Commerce for clear finance education. Follow WhatsApp channel Curious Commerce Financial Management Hub for daily updates about finance. Like, share, and subscribe to Curious Commerce. Once again, thank you all.